Welcome back, viewers, to another episode of Bishop's DIY Auto Repair. Today I'm going to show you how you can make your car look like this during the day, make it look like this at night. Today we're going to be looking at how to install aftermarket LED strip lights to your car. Very helpful, especially if your dome lights don't work. Before we jump into that, go ahead and make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also give this video a thumbs up if it helped you out, or if you have any other ideas. Go ahead and make sure you leave it down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the tools that we need to do this project, and let's get started. Alright guys, for this project you are going to need a soldering iron. You're going to need some solder, some thin electrical solder to attach the wiring to the lights. You're going to of course need some wiring, lights, a razor knife, some wire strippers, and you're going to need a various sort of connectors. One for the switch that we have here, which is a very common switch. AutoZone, Home Depot, any auto parts store should carry one of these. I have some male and female connectors. Show you what those look like. We got those, and then here's the female connector, and then here's the switch that I got as well if you end up wanting to grab that. A couple disclaimers. One, the sticky backing on the LED lights will peel off the tin if you end up removing them in the future, so keep that in mind before you do this. And make sure you disconnect the battery before you start installing the lights to avoid shorting anything out. And also you'll want to install a fuse in line, and I'll show you how you can do that later on in the video. So go ahead and stay tuned. Let's jump right into this. Let's get the car prepared to install the lights. Alrighty guys, the first step is we need to take off this cover because we're going to install the switch right in that plate there. So let's go ahead and remove these. There's a screw here at the bottom, and another one right there. So we need to remove those, and then this thing should just clip right out of there, snap right out of there. Alright guys, you may want to remove the side cover. That's what that screw is also holding in, as well as this. There's a little screw looking thing down in this corner that holds it in, so you'll need to take that out. And now this will just pop right off of here. Should. Yep, just like that. Might have to give it a little bit of force. Alright, so now that you've got this down, so there's a wire there. It just has a push tab, I believe right here. And then here's my other switch. Those are for those lights right up there. I did that a while ago. So we're going to be doing the back ones. So we'll just need to unhook the switch and unhook this one, and this will just come right off. Let's get it done. Okay, now we've got this. As you can see, I've cut in here and just slipped the switch right in this plate for the first set of lights that I did. So we're going to occupy the second one for the back lights. So now that we've got this all set up, and you'll also probably need to remove this backing so you can feed the wires down in through, and I'll show you that. Alrighty guys, I got my soldering iron warming up. So we're going to need to take some of our wire. We want to cut a little bit off so that we have enough for the connectors to hide up in the roof of your car. Try to make them about the same length. You can use different colored wire. I'm not going to. I'll show you how I'll keep track of which one's positive and which one's negative as we go. So strip your wire. Now that you've got the wires ready, take your lights. Like I said, I've seen these on Amazon. I've seen some at Home Depot. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to remove the coating. So I went down to the circuit board on that side. Now I'm just going to slice in here. Do not measure the lights for your windshield until you get wire soldered on, because if you screw up, then you're not going to have the lights go all the way across your windshield, so keep that in mind. Okay guys, I'm going to finish getting these that plastic off of there. Alright guys, my soldering iron should be good and ready now. I'm going to get something to hold those lights where they need to be. Always remember to tin the end of your solder. Okay. Make sure you get the solder on the copper pad first. Okay. Now take one of your wires. I like to twist the ends. You can take sandpaper to them and just clean up the wires a little bit. I find it helps. I'm not doing that this time though. We're just going to go and touch this wire and get it hot. Got a little bit more solder. We're going to go ahead and strip these wires now, the ends of these. I'll strip those two. Alright, in order to prevent electrical shortage, we're going to go ahead and wrap the soldered end a little bit of electrical tape. So what I did is I slipped it between the wires, went around the one wire, now I'm taping them together. And then I'm going to take shrink wrap and I finished covering up the solder. Try to get that up there on the circuit board there. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and just shrink wrap our shrink wrap here. Try to keep them as straight as possible so that way they line up with the markings so you know which one's positive, which one's negative. Unless if you're using different colored wire, in that case you don't really have to worry about that. Now that you got that done, let's go and measure them out to the car. Alright, so as you can see I've already had lights up here, so it did peel off, leave some bits and pieces and peel off some of the tint right there. That kind of thing, so just be cautious of that. These are more of like permanent lights. Unless you don't mind this, then it's whatever, but keep that in mind. Alright, so you want to take your lights, you want to go and line the wires up over here. You want to try to get them, so they're not bending the solder. And you go and run them across. And then go and hold your finger where it's at. Now let's go ahead and cut this down and stick them up there. Okay, after you measured it out, so something I should point out, on these lights, you do have a line in between the copper pads, so you want to make sure that you cut right on that line, or else the lights aren't going to work properly, so make sure you cut right on the line. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that line there. So make sure you cut there. Alright, so go ahead and cut it around that line. It's quite the tough stuff, so make sure you have a sharp razor blade. So you want to grab your metal connector. You want to go and put it on the wire. And this is going to go on the positive side, because the power wire that we'll be running back will have the negative one. So prevent a short or an electric shortage within the vehicle. So we'll go ahead and crimp this down, just like that. Go and give it a nice tug. Make sure it's nice and strong. Okay, and then go ahead and grab your female connector. And go ahead and put that on. And I'm using the two different connectors. Because if the ground touches the ground, it's not really going to do anything. But if the positive hits any metal, definitely cause an issue. And this way I know that this one's the positive and this one is the negative. Let's go ahead and stick these lights up there. Okay, I'm going to start running them on the passenger side. Start on the passenger side. Going to take out the 3M sticky tape. I want the wires going towards the driver's side. So we're going to lay it out just like that. Let's go and get started. Going to apply some pressure to it. I'm just lining it up against the liner in the back. And if you want, with the wires, you can add some type of adhesive. I typically use super glue. Just be careful when you pull them down if you plan on doing that. But our wires should be able to hide up in the seal over here, so show you the next step. Alright, so as you can see, I got this wire going back through here, back out this side. Now we're gonna go ahead and pull that wire back here. I'd rather have it a little bit more than I need, so we're just gonna pull this wire through a little bit. Alright, and we're also gonna need to pop this out. You can get under here and just pop this right on off of there, just like so. So here's where the front lights are grounded to, is right here, which runs back down over here into the switch, which it has the ground to the lights and the switch. So, alright, so now we're going to go and mark out our switch. We want to try to keep it as centered in there as possible. Alright, you guys, to cut out the spot for the switch in your extra spot, you can use a Dremel with the cutoff wheel, and then we can use a Dremel to go around and clean up the edges and make it look a little bit better. So I'll go ahead and finish doing that and cutting out the slot, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay guys, now I got a little sand bit on my Dremel here. We're going to go ahead and just clean this up. Alrighty guys, as you can see, I got that new switch in. I went ahead and just sanded it up, kind of made it look a little bit better. I mean, it's not going to look perfect. I'm sure Honda does make new inserts they can put in here for switches, but there's no fun in that, so we just worked with what we got and got them in there. So let's go ahead and finish wiring up the lights. Alrighty, so now we're going to go and run our wires. We're going to run them up in the roof here. Gonna stick them up in there, kind of get an idea of how much wire you need. So we've got our wire coming down from the lights. That's gonna hook into our switch to supply the power from the switch up to the lights. Okay, and then you're gonna need your female connector to connect it to the switch. So we're gonna put that on our wire and then crimp it down. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, now we're gonna go and take our female connector and we're gonna go and crimp it on there, so that we can hook it into the switch. Give that a nice crimp. Uncheck it, make sure it's all good. Okay, now we're gonna go and run our ground wire. Okay, now we're gonna go and crimp on our little connectors here. So this one's gonna be for the negative because it's got the male end on it. Alright, now we're gonna go and do the positive side, and that one's gonna have the female connector on it. Okay, and I got the female connector on. Let's go and plug in the lights back in the back, and then we'll finish hooking up the switch. Okay, so now we've got the lights connected, so we're going to go ahead and bring these wires back. We're just going to go and shove them right up in there. Alright, and then once you get the wires ran into the back, you can put this back up there just to kind of keep them in place so they're not falling. And then as you can see, they just come down and right in here, and they run up to the front. Okay, so on this switch we have a ground, which is this terminal, an accessory, which is the middle terminal, and the power, which is the third terminal. So for the ground, we're gonna hook a wire into the screw that I've already got here. Seems to be the best ground. And then I come down and through here, and then I'll hook the ground wire that we ran up into one of these terminals together. That way you have the ground going to the light switch and the ground coming in from here. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. Let's get that ground wire in there. So you may need a self-tapper screw to be able to ground your setup, but for me, I'm just going to wrap this wire around here. Make it so that it's going to, when you screw it in, it's going to pull the wire in with it. So that's what we need to do. So let's go ahead and tighten that back up. Alright, and then just go ahead and make sure it's nicely in there, which it looks like it is. Alrighty, and then you can go ahead and just slip it down in here. And go ahead and sneak it right out here. I'll pull it down. Now that I got the negative wires ran, I still got the positive wire. I'm going to run it up through the underneath here and up through here. The accessory line going to the switch. And then we'll hook up the fuse and I'll show you how to do that next. But first we need to take our two ground wires and we need to put one of these on there. Both of them together. So we're going to twist these together and put one of those connectors on there. So I'll get that done. Alright, so this is what you should have so far. Is your ground is connected. And then it comes down and your two grounds are connected in the same connector. So now we're going to go ahead and hook up the accessory line up into here, which runs to the lights for the power. So we're going to go and finish that and get the connector on there. Alrighty guys, as far as the fuse goes, I have one of these adapters that turns one fuse slot into two. So we're going to be using this for the power and to supply the fuse. You want to look down here and just find either an empty slot or a slot that has power going to all the time. You can look at your cover for your fuse area. I've already got a slot picked out, but we're going to attach another wire up this so we can run it up to the switch. Alrighty guys, as far as the fuse goes, I have one of these adapters that turns one fuse slot into two. So we're going to be using this for the power and to supply the fuse. You want to look down here and just find either an empty slot or a slot that has power going to all the time. You can look at your cover for your fuse area. I've already got a slot picked out, but we're going to attach another wire up this so we can run it up to the switch. So I got the wire fed in through here, back up this way from the fuse. Now we're going to come up top here and out through here. Alrighty guys, now that you got that done, we've got our three wires here. We got our ground, our power, and our accessory wire here. So let's go ahead and hook these back up. I would recommend doing the switches after you put this back on. Alrighty viewers, I got the lights in. It's looking good. Let me show you what the switches look like. So there is the switches. You can go ahead and turn them off. Either way. It's pretty good. Alrighty guys, well that's it for this video. And leave a comment if you have any other ideas that I can do with some lights. Let me know and I'll make a video out of it. Other than that, before I let you go, make sure you go and hit that subscribe button down below and also give it a thumbs up. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Other than that, have a great day and we'll catch you in the next repair.